your straight run-of-the-mill typing tool. Just this one right here. I'm going to click right about here and type in Alvin, Alone in the Wilderness. Now the font and the color, they're okay. I'm going to commit right here. And I'm going to use my shortcut for free transform, and that's Control-T in Windows, Command-T on a Mac. And instead of just bringing it out from a corner, I'm actually going to stretch it from the middle and make it taller. So I am distorting the text here. I'm going to pull it this way too. Why not? I'm going to commit to that. I'll use my arrow keys to bring it down a little bit. I talked about bevels, embosses, drop shadows, whatever. There's one problem. We are at 16.1%. See that up here? If I do anything, you're not really going to see it. So I'm going to double click on the zoom tool, and I'm going to bring that down. Now we only see a piece, but you'll be able to see how it works and the effect. So I'm over here already in effects. You've got filters, styles, and effects. Let's go into styles. You got bevels. How about something like a simple inside? You see how it changes it? How about coming over here and going into, say, a drop shadow? Something like with a soft edge, maybe? Helps define the text, definitely. Now, you have other things that you can do here. If you come in here, you have things like glass buttons. Kind of interesting. Double-click on that. Pretty intense. Makes it almost kind of hard to read. It's up to you. I'm going to press undo. There are so many things that we can do here. There are so many options that you can use. But you're going to see, if I double-click back on the hand tool, you can't really tell. So I recommend when you're doing things like this, even though you can't see the whole big picture, you can see it at 100%. You can see if it's really doing what you want it to do, because that's the way it's going to look when you print it. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's close this one. We're not done. And don't save it. Let's go ahead and move into folder 11. I think that's the one I want. It is. We stitched these 3 images into a panorama. I just need one. Let's do this one right here. Right-click it and bring it into Photoshop Elements Editor. Here we go. The Golden Gate Bridge. What I want to show you in the Type tool are these tools. Selection or masking tools. They create a selection based on what you're doing in terms of a type font size. So we'll just do one, the horizontal. I'm going to come up here and click, just like that. I'm going to type in city. Now that's really big, so let's do this first. Let me select that text. Let's come down here, and let's get that down to 72, see what that does. Okay, that's better. Come back up again. City by the bay. Now you could select that, change the font, make it bigger, smaller, up to you. But it is nothing but a selection. So if you like it, go ahead and click the check mark right here. You see, it's just a selection. That's all it is. Now, the cool thing about a selection, if you remember the chapter when we talked about selection, if you have a selection in a layer, which we do, and you press Command on a Macintosh, Control in Windows, J as in John, what you get in that layer is basically the selection, a copy of that layer in its own layer. Just the selection, though. Now, let me turn that back on. It looks invisible. If I pick up my Move tool, you can see it. It's there. But it's exactly camouflaged on top of the original pixels. Now do something like a bevel and emboss. Watch this. Go into Effects. Let's go back into Bevels. How about this one right here? Watch. It's like it's sculpting it out of the image itself. So you could try different ones here. That doesn't look too bad. Kind of fun. Let me show you one more thing. Let's go back to Layers. Select this one. Go into your adjustments and go into, say, maybe hue and saturation. Now, we only want hue and saturation to impact the layer underneath it, so you got to click here. That locks it in. Well, have some fun. Play around. Make it a little bit darker or lighter. It's as if you're sculpting it directly out of the image itself. And that's one of the prime purposes of those tools. So whether you are adding a simple bevel and emboss to standard text, or you're using a selection tool to select a part of an image and put it into that, all our styles, everything from drop shadows to bevels and embosses, whatever you want to do, can be applied to text. Let's go ahead and close this. And you don't have to save it if you don't want to. There you go.